Okay, welcome to part 4 in this video tutorial series on how to create a shooter-style video game using Adobe Flash CS4. We're working with ActionScript 2.0, that's very important. And that's what we've got so far. So we've got some flying octopi, we've got a ship that flies around and shoots missiles and kills them. And then when the octopi hit us, it kills us, but we have no score and no record of lives. So let's change that right now. We're going to go ahead and in your toolbar, select the text tool, it's the big T in your toolbar, and find a place on your stage that you would like to have the word score written. So we're going to have a word score, and then we're going to have the actual score that changes. And I'm just changing over here in the properties the size. I'm picking a different size for my text. And looks like a pretty good size. And you can go ahead and type out score. You can make it a different color if you want, or you can make it larger or smaller depending on your taste there. We want to make sure that we take the blue box that shows up and we make it a little bit smaller and make sure that we've got it set on static text. It's very important. In just a minute we're going to do some dynamic text, but for the time being we want this to be static. We don't want it to change, okay? So now you're going to grab your text tool again, and we're going to draw out a little box next to our score. This time in our properties, change it from static text to dynamic text. And you're going to probably keep it the same size, same color, but you can change it if you want. So make sure dynamic text is selected. And then underneath dynamic text, underneath options, you'll see a variable. And what you'll need to type right there is underscore, root, period, and then score. So underscore, root, period, and then score is what you'll need to put as the variable. And that will link our dynamic text with the score. Line that up. There we go. Let's take a look at what that looks like. And you see our score is up there at the top. It is keeping score. It's giving us 10 points for every octopi that we kill. But it's way too far up at the top. So let's grab both of those. And then let's grab the text. There we go. And just nudge that down just a little bit. So it's a little bit more inside of our stage. And there we go. That's a good place for it. We can see our score clearly there. It's a nice score. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to add our lives. So I'm going to put it right next to the score. And again, we want static text. Let's go ahead and type out lives. Move it into place. And then we're going to create another text box that's going to be dynamic text. But remember, just the word lives needs to be static. So now we're going to create a dynamic text box. Create a new box, select dynamic. This time we want to put underscore, root, R-O-O-T, period, and then lives, L-I-V-E-S. We can check it out and see if it works. And it's way up there in the corner. I never moved it down, so let's move that down so we can see what's going on. So again, we'll just nudge that down into place and take a look at it. And there you can see we start with 3 lives. And our score works just fine. And let's see if our lives disappear. There they go, 2, 1, and then 0, okay? Now we need to give some indication that the game is over. So we're going to create a game over animation. Well, animation's maybe a misnomer because we're not going to really animate it, but you can. So we're going to go into the library, right click, create a new symbol. It needs to be movie clip, and it needs to be named game over, capital G and capital O with no space in between. You're also going to want to export that for ActionScript, which is an option you can click in that last box. And then go ahead and here simply I'm going to just type game over. But if you wanted to have a pretty elaborate animation in here, you could. You've got your timeline at the top, and you can do that if you like. I'm going to change the font a little bit, and Again, this needs to be static text. It doesn't really matter because you're not going to be exporting it, but we're going to keep it as static text. Where's a good font here? Just pick something that's easy to see. That looks good. We'll make the color red. And we'll go ahead and type games over. You can pay attention to your registration mark there. That's the X in the middle. That will allow you to position the game over. And we'll go ahead and make that text a little bit bigger by selecting it. And again, changing the size and the properties. We'll go ahead and make our blue box around it kind of snug. Move it into place around the registration mark. Go back to our scene and export our movie. We'll go ahead and die and see what our game over looks like. Looks pretty good, but it's a little too high. So we can use our registration marks to kind of position it in a better place. So we'll go back to that movie clip and we'll just nudge it down. And take a look. See if we're better off here. And it looks pretty good. So now we've got our score, our lives, and the game over. In the next section, we're going to add sounds. And then finally, we'll add a title screen.